How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Flagrant Talk Sports Podcast. It's Moses here, jumping into the 2025 Stanley Cup Final here for you all today. A rematch of the 2024 Stanley Cup Finals, in which the Florida Panthers, the team you see in the picture on screen, defeated the Edmonton Oilers in a hectic 7-game series. Florida jumping out to an early 3-0 lead, looking like it was going to be a nice, easy Stanley Cup final victory for them. But Edmonton having other ideas, pushing the series to 7, a complete tale of two halves, so to speak, in that series. And game 7 being probably the most normal game in that series, a 2-1 victory for the Florida Panthers. But today, we're going to talk about the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs, a little recap of how we got here. We're going to dive into a little bit of both of the teams, what some of the guys are doing for each of their squads, the goaltending matchups, and at the end of the video, obviously, going to have to give my Stanley Cup pick as I was cooking so far. I went 4 for 4 in the conference finals. East and West, I had the matchups correct. I did have the Florida Panthers making it to the finals, so I was right out east. But out west, I had Dallas knocking off Edmonton, which Edmonton proved me wrong in a quick series there. But let's dive into the bracket recap. Starting out west, it's going to be the bottom left of the bracket for you all. Edmonton defeating the Los Angeles Kings for the 4th straight season in the first round. Just unbelievable for the Kings that this Edmonton team is just their kryptonite and they can't get past them. It was looking like that was going to be different this time around as the Kings came out to a 2-0 series lead. But Calvin Pickard stepping in for Edmonton after Stuart Skinner's struggles. Not that it was all on Skinner. Edmonton as a team just not doing what they needed to do in front of him. But Calvin Pickard stepping in, getting the starts, games 3, 4, 5, and 6, winning 4 straight, and pushing Edmonton to an unbelievable first-round victory there. In round 2, Edmonton continued that streaky run, defeating Vegas 4-1. Only loss coming in game 3. Pickard did start both games 1 and 2, where they won both of those. Although he is 6-0 in these playoffs, he has an .888 save percentage and a 2.84 goals against average. So not the best stats from Pickard, but the team in front of him has been playing well. They've been putting up goals for him, 6, 7 goal performances with Pickard in net. But Chris Knoblauch went back to the mainstay in Stuart Skinner in game 3, where they did lose. A 4-3 loss there for Edmonton. Skinner facing 24 shots there. But he bounced back, and that has been a common theme for Stuart Skinner throughout these playoffs. Games 4 and 5, shutting out the Vegas Golden Knights in both of those games to close the series in 5. Just truly a testament to this Oilers team. They have newfound depth. They are playing well as a unit, and they continue to show that in the Western Conference Finals as Edmonton knocked off Dallas in 5 games as well, 4-1 there. The only loss coming in game 1, where Dallas took that one by score of 6-2, 6-3, I believe. Yes, 6-3. Apologies for that. Skinner faced 27 shots in that one, credited with the loss. But in game three, he bounced back with a massive game, 33 saves, only one goal against for Stuart Skinner. Through this playoff run to the finals, he's 6-4 with a 0.904 save percentage and 2.53 goals against to go alongside his 3 shutouts as Edmonton looks for a little bit of revenge against this Florida Panthers team who has had an interesting path of their own en route to reaching their 3rd straight Stanley Cup Final, on the brink of entering dynasty territory. We heard Rod Brindamore for the Carolina Hurricanes after they got bounced by Florida saying that this team is the standard of hockey right now, and they just show that each and every night on the ice. It all started with them winning the Battle of Florida. This will be on the top right of the bracket here for you all. They won that one in 5 games. Only loss coming in game 3, 5-1. Game 1, 3 power play goals from the Panthers, 2 by Matthew Tkachuk in his return after missing 2+ months with injury, playing in the Four Nations, getting injured, playing through said injury, and he picked up right where he left off. Nate Schmidt as well, defenseman, 2 goals in game 1. On top of that note, 7 defensemen for Florida have scored a goal this playoffs. Just truly a testament to their depth. And although they've made it to back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals, this could potentially be the best team that Florida has down there in the past 3 years, which is just truly crazy to say. Continuing on in that round 1 series, a game 2 shutout by Bobrovsky, Nate Schmidt scoring another goal, his 3rd and last so far in this playoffs. He got off to a hot start, has been playing solid as a defenseman, but he hasn't really needed to score on the offensive end as other D-men have stepped up, and just this team in its entirety. The 3rd line for Florida, Brad Marchand, Anton Lundell, and Eetu Luostarinen, leading the Panthers in plus minus at 12, 11, and 11. I forget who has what, but those 3 are the top 3 in plus minus for Florida in this playoffs. It is just unbelievable what this team can throw at you. Game 4, Aaron Ekblad and Seth Jones light the lamp against Tampa, just adding to the D-man takeover that Florida is on. Game 5, Lundell and Verhaeghe score in their 2nd straight game, and Florida closes this one out in a bit of a spanking, as in the 2nd round, the Toronto Maple Leafs put up an unbelievable fight, probably the pushing Florida to the brink. Only other team that I can think of, and of course it's fresh on my mind, is the Boston Bruins. Going to game 7 with the Florida Panthers, kind of when this dynasty started for them. But Toronto came out winning games 1 and 2, but Florida bouncing back, winning game 3 in overtime, which completely flipped the series. Brad Marchand with the overtime winner there, continuing to torment Toronto Maple Leafs fans. A new jersey, a new team doesn't change what Brad Marchand does in the playoffs. And although he's getting up there in age, he is not showing it on the ice. He has been unbelievable in this playoff run for the Panthers, fitting right in to their system. Game 4, a shutout by Bobrovsky. And in Game 5, a dominant 6-1 victory in Toronto, leaving a bad taste in Leafs fans' mouths as Again, I've mentioned this. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Toronto came back in game 6, giving their fans some hope. But game 7 was the same story as game 5. Another dominant 6-1 win. Marchand with a 3-point game in game 7. Luosterainen with a 3-point game of his own. I apologize. I missed this note in game 5. 31 saves from Sergei Bobrovsky. Game 4, Carter Verhaeghe scoring in back-to-back games again in these playoffs. Sergei stopping all 23 shots that he faced in that shutout. It's not a one-man wrecking crew. It is every single player that steps onto the ice for the Florida Panthers. They know their job. They know the system. They know exactly what this team is looking for. And they just get results after results, as after that tightly contested series with Toronto. They came back in the Eastern Conference Finals, crushing the Hurricanes 4-1. Only loss coming in game 4, giving a little gentleman's sweep to the Hurricanes. Dominant games 1, 2, and 3, 5-2 for Florida in game 1, shutout in game 2, 5-0, and 6-2 in game 3. They do get shut out in game 4, which should have put this in my notes, but it's just something I've noticed. In their losses, they haven't really kept close in those losses. They've been kind of either shut out or the other team is just, having one of those nights where everything is going right for them. But something to look out for in this Edmonton series. Florida has played a lot of hockey these last few years, making it to 3 consecutive Stanley Cup Finals, as well as sending a bunch of guys to the Four Nations. When you're one of those better teams, it's going to kind of come back to bite you when you have to have your guys play extra hockey. Many other teams getting rest on beaches, taking their minds off of hockey. Could play either way. They either kept that flow through the All-Star break and continued it, which in some cases for this Florida team, Luosterainen, the main one that's coming to mind, he did that. But it is a lot of hockey that they've played. Thankfully, only went to overtime once in these playoffs against Toronto in game 3, as I mentioned. But they do close it out in game 5 against Carolina, 5-3. The last note I have for this team is their depth is just truly unmatched. Sergei Bobrovsky, 12-5, playing in every single minute of every single game in these playoffs for Florida. .912 save percentage for Bobrovsky, 2.11 goals against as well, and 3 shutouts of his own to go up against Stuart Skinner, who, let's say he has a bad game or 2, they Edmonton Oilers can go with Pickard because he is undefeated in these playoffs, although it has been the goal scoring that Edmonton has helped him with. Could it be a benefit to the Oilers? Yes and no, but for Florida, you just know Bobrovsky is going to come out and probably be the guy in this series. I predicted wrong in the last series. I thought Jake Ottinger was going to be the better goaltender over Skinner in the Western Conference Finals. That couldn't have been more wrong. Ottinger kind of getting lit up, kind of getting scapegoated a little bit by his head coach, especially in that final game where they scored on the first 2 shots of the game, did Edmonton, and Ottinger was pulled, which was very interesting. But jumping to a little bit of the individual teams, although I just went over basically their pass on how they got here. Edmonton has 12 wins in their last 14 games, just on an absolute heater are the Oilers in this Stanley Cup playoff run, touching the trophy this time around after they went against it last season. Seeing if touching it this time will bring them the luck to win the Stanley Cup. Edmonton on the power play, 30%, very high, one of the highest remaining obviously, as there's only 2 teams, but still one of the highest just in general in the playoffs, which is impressive considering they played a lot more games than some of those teams that are up there. The big thing is going to be the penalty kill. 66%, which is almost at the bottom of all playoff teams. They're going to have to figure that out, not take penalties, stay disciplined if they're going to want to stand a chance in the special teams battle. 38.72 hits per game as well. We know Florida likes to hit. They like to be physical. They like to get under your skin. Edmonton did end up finding out how to manage that. It took them 3 games last time around. They're going to be ready for the jump. I'm assuming they have home ice in this series, unlike last time. We'll see if all those things can play in their favor. Connor McDavid leading the team in points, 26 points, 6 goals, 20 assists. Leon Draisaitl right on his tail with 25 points, 7 goals, 18 assists, 9 of those coming on the power play points, I should say. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, after a regular season, on fire here in the playoffs, 18 points, 5 goals, 13 assists, 7 points coming on the power play. Evan Bouchard has been a revelation here in this Stanley Cup Finals run. 6 goals from the defenseman, 11 assists, 17 points for Bouchard. Evander Kane, 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points of his own. Corey Perry, the old man, still doing it. 7 goals, 4 assists. 4 of those coming on the power play. The acquisition of Jake Wallman on defense has been massive. The points might not be showing it, but he is a team leading plus 12 when he is on the ice. They also got the return of Matthias Ekholm in the final game there against Dallas, where he was plus 2 while on the ice and also added in an assist. The big detriment to this Oilers team is the loss of Zach Hyman. He was their leader in hits so far in the playoffs. He had a big Stanley Cup Finals last year, putting up some goals, some assists, where guys like Leon Draisaitl, guys like Evan Bouchard, they struggled against Florida last season. With Hyman out, it is going to take everyone to step up. I hear things of Kasperi Kapanen being that guy. He has been great for this Edmonton team, similar to Wallman. It might not show up directly in points or in the stat book. If you just watch the kid play, he is been stellar for Edmonton throughout this playoff run, and he's going to need to take that next step with Hyman out. Same with Nugent Hopkins, who's been doing it. Same with Evander Kane. Trent Frederick, an ex-Bruin, coming over at the deadline. Maybe he has a big playoff goal, big playoff hit. We know he's very physical as well, but it's going to be a big loss there for Edmonton without Hyman. We'll see if they can get it done. I think they have the pieces. They have the skill, obviously. It's going to be if Stuart Skinner or Calvin Pickard. I think Skinner's going to need to stay in net if there is a change and Pickard gets thrown in there. I don't know if Edmonton's going to be able to right the ship at that point and get past the Florida Panthers. They're going to need to play a damn near perfect game as we jump to this Panthers team, the dynasty on the horizon, led by their captain, Alexander Barkov, 6 goals, 11 assists, 17 points. Sam Bennett, 10 goals, 6 assists, 17 points, 1 goalie injured. I apologize to Maple Leafs fans. You know Bennett is probably going to do something in this series to at least be talked about the following day/days. But we'll see if he can stay on the ice, avoid suspension, because as much as I hate to admit it, he is an unbelievable hockey player. Matthew Tkachuk 5 goals, 11 assists, 16 points of his own. Brad Marchand, the ex-Bruins captain, coming over at the deadline, again, fitting right in to this Panthers lineup. 4 goals, 10 assists, 14 points for Brad. Carter Verhaeghe, 6 goals, big goals. As always, it seems like every playoff run for the Panthers, he's scoring a series-clinching goal at some point. He's scoring an energy-turning goal. He's just the ultimate gamer is Carter Verhaeghe. 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points. Eetu Luostarinen and Sam Reinhart, both at 4 goals and 9 assists, good for 13 points. Anton Lundell, the other part of Luostarinen and Marchand's third line, 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points of his own. An unbelievable two-way player is Lundell. He is got a Selke winner in his captain, Alexander Barkov, to look up to and learn from, and they are definitely Barkov is definitely passing his knowledge to guys, centermen like Lundell on this team. Aaron Ekblad, 11 points, 3 goals, and Evan Rodriguez getting his first goal in the deciding game against Carolina. 10 assists, 11 points for Rodriguez. Florida, if they lead after the second period, they are 10-0 in these playoffs, 23.2% on the power play, and 87.9% on the penalty kill. A massive difference there between Edmonton's penalty kill percentage, also 47.05 hits per game. I was looking through Florida's hits in every single game of the playoffs. I saw numbers as high as 60, getting close to 70. This team, everyone knows it. They are physical. The forecheck is down your throat all the time. They create chaos. They create turnovers in your D zone, and they capitalize on that. They create rushes. For Edmonton, the key, and they do have it, they have the speed and they have the defensemen who are able to move the puck quickly into the right spot. They're going to need to use that speed and great puck moving ability to work their way around the relentless Panthers forecheck and create some rushes of their own, which we know this team can capitalize on. But that's all the stats. That's all the yap out of the way. The recap of last year, the recap of the bracket this year. It's time to make my pick. As I mentioned, I had Dallas versus Florida, and I had Dallas winning. After what I have seen from both of these teams, I think we're in for an amazing Stanley Cup Final rematch. As much as it pains me, I just can't get the thought out of my head that the Florida Panthers go back to back. They knock off Edmonton again. Connor McDavid, the best player in hockey, gets this close again and unfortunately falls short. I think Bobrovsky has another shutout sometime in this Stanley Cup final. He's had one in every round so far. Skinner also with 3 shutouts of his own, but 2 of those coming in the Golden Knights series to close it out. The last one coming against Dallas, I believe. Yes, against Dallas. But at the end of the day, I think the depth, the defensive scoring, the all-around tenacity of the Florida Panthers is going to come through. I think these teams split in Edmonton as the series is going to start there. We head to Florida 1-1. Florida snags games 3 and 4. Edmonton goes home, wins game 5, and this Stanley Cup Finals ends in 6 games on Florida's home ice, and they raise the Stanley Cup for back-to-back years. as much as I want Edmonton and I will be rooting for them, you have to give props where it is due, and this Panthers team is just a force to be reckoned with. But that is all I have for today's video. Thank you all for listening in as the dogs outside go stupid. The song of the pod for you all today before I sign off, it's going to be We Believe by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I believe in Edmonton. My heart is saying Edmonton, but my mind is saying the Florida Panthers. Thank you again, everybody, for listening. Zay will be coming out with, I believe, wrestling video at some point to end the week. And we will be back next week with more NBA content. I'm sure some MLB content's in the mix here soon. Anything sports, we have it. If you want us to talk about something, please drop it in the comments down below. But until next time, this is Moses signing off, everyone. Have a great week.